So we were talking about descriptive writing. Here is the part 2. Let's resume our discussion where we left in the previous class. Welcome back. So the next topic that we will discuss is the mistakes to be avoided. Some things that you should not do while writing a descriptive piece of text. So don't make an overuse of adjectives. Too many adjectives can overwhelm the reader. Stick to the most important details. Some students, when we tell them you have to use describing words in descriptive writing, they make extra use of adjectives too much. So just give the most important details. Listing details is also not the right way. Instead of listing descriptions one after another, weave them into the flow of the narrative, the way you are moving your text through and you are adding more things. So keep things in a sequence and adding it. So maintain the overall flow of narrative, the overall flow of your text. Repetition. Avoid repeating the same ideas or phrases. Keep descriptions fresh and engaging. Add new words, different words, and new grammatical structures as well. Avoid using repetitive structures and vocabulary items. Now, here are some practical tips for practicing. Read sample descriptive passages and analyze how authors use descriptive language. This is the most important technique for all type of your reading and writing papers, that you must read great authors of English, how they have used language in their pieces of writing. So same is the case with descriptive passages. Read those wonderful descriptive passages where the novelists, especially like Charles Dickens, James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, how they describe different situations, scenes, people, things, character, and how they use powerfully the auditory and visual imagery in their descriptive writings, and also analyze and see the features of language employed by them. That will give you an input for improving your own writing as well. Then practice observing and writing about real life objects, scenes, or experiences. Because when you will start noticing the things around you with a mind that I have to describe these things in my writings, you will have a chance to look deep into them and use effective language to describe them well. Once you have written those things, revise your work and pay attention to the language, variety, and clarity of your descriptions, and compare it with those ones that you have read written by other English authors. Hope so following these tips you will improve. Here is a sample descriptive passage by Charles Dickens from his famous novel Great Expectations. So, if you read this passage, you can pause the video and read this passage well. Now, what is being described in this passage? This is a beautiful descriptive passage in which Charles Dickens has described about. You can share your own analysis of this passage as a descriptive writing in the comment section below. So he has talked about the fog, mist, and how it's moving. He has used the verb creeping, how we describe the movement of snake creeping like that. So he has actually personified mist or fog with the idea of creeping, through the idea of creeping. In that way, he has well described how fog was spreading all around over the river, into marshes, over the moor and scattered cattle, and everywhere how it went on hills as well. If the very earth there were, if the very earth were a ghost, so and also earth Like a ghost, how he used different similes, metaphors, personification, these things to produce a wonderful descriptive passage. So you can just pause the video and read it. Try to understand it deeply. How he has described the movement of fog. Have you ever experienced in deep winter of December nights how the fog keeps moving around the valleys, mountains, hills, cottages, and how it covers all the streets there? So if you have not experienced and noticed the things around you before, just start noticing them. And in your mind, you can create a description how I can put this experience into words, and how then those words give a vivid picture to the reader's mind when the reader will read this text, your words, that you are going to pack ideas in. Okay, now I have some past papers questions. Keep it in your mind whether you are an IGCSE student or an O level student. For both of English papers, the nature of questions is almost similar. There can be difference in word limit, there can be difference in their mark scheme, there can be difference in word limits or things like that. So, descriptive writing, wherever it is, you can use these past paper questions to practice. Describe the feelings you experienced leading up to a challenging event and the feelings you experienced afterwards. The challenging event could be sporting, academic, or any other activity. Now, pause the video and describe it. You can describe in the comment section below to practice your descriptive writing. Here is another question for you. Write a description of a crowded place before and during a sudden burst of heavy rain. So, how is a crowded place? People moving around, rushing, shops are open, some people are buying something. You can recall any experience from your past life when you encountered such an event. That will actually help you to produce a beautiful descriptive piece of writing. Then, what happens after a sudden burst of rain? If there are stalls and shops, people frying something, snacks like that, and they are frying things for you, food items, and suddenly everyone start rushing. There is like people crying, somebody maybe, children playing, and what quickly happens after it, or maybe during a sudden burst of heavy rain. Okay, they have not asked you what happens after it, but during a sudden burst of heavy rain, everything quickly washed away. There can be storm at the beginning of the sudden burst of heavy rain. You can add the description of storm as well. In this way, do good brainstorming before you start writing a descriptive piece of text. Here is recently conducted May June 2024 paper variant 1. There are two descriptive writing questions and you have a choice to choose any of them. Describe two different places where you and your family like to go, one of which is exciting and one of which is relaxing. There are two places that you and your family like to go. One is exciting, one is relaxing. Now think about two such places that you like to go. It might be some park, and going to zoo might be relaxing or it might be exciting. Some going somewhere, a walking track besides the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, what William Wordsworth said in Daffodils. So you can add two different places. You have to describe the things there, what is there, colors of flowers there, the sound of leaves there, rustling of leaves, buzzing of bees, whizzing sounds, and things like that. For descriptive writing, you should have an experience to put into words, but you should have words to put your experiences in. Where will you get those words from? Read masterpieces of English literature for that. to have good vocabulary, to pack your thoughts, ideas, feeling, emotions into words. The other question for descriptive writing in this paper was describe the scene at a market or bazaar just before it opens and during the busiest part of the day. So before it opens, there is the place seems to be like a deserted place when there is no rush of people shopping. The marketplaces at the beginning, just before it opens, the doors are closed, shutters are down. But what happens when the busiest part of the day, rush of people shopping, buying new things? So then you can describe people selling things, stalls, children buying something else. In descriptive writing, think more about what possibly can be in that situation and keep describing in beautiful words and put those words in beautiful pattern of grammatical structures. Also keep improving your grammar to secure good grades in English language exams. Here is variant 2 paper May June 2024 O level 1123, but you can also use it as a practice for doing other writing activity for your IGCSE English as well. Describe the scene at an important cultural event both before it starts and during the event. Describe the scene at a local park or public garden both early in the morning and in the afternoon. So early in the morning at a public garden there might be few people for walking, jogging on jogging track. In afternoon there might be something different. People selling some food items in stalls around the park. Rush of people, whatsoever you feel there is, just describe it. So try these questions and write wonderful pieces of descriptive writings. So keep practicing and observing. The more you practice and pay attention to your surroundings, the more powerful your descriptions will become. Thank you. Subscribe for more lessons on O level and IGCSE English writing skills. Emaad Online Academy. Thanks for watching.